Hey everyone, I'm Rebecca here at the Coastal Discovery Museum, and today we're going to be reading Turtle Tracks by Sally Harman. Every summer, my family packs our blue van full of suitcases, beach chairs, buckets, and shovels for a trip to the beach. We have been going to the same gray beach house for as long as I can remember. Our house has a screened-in porch facing the ocean where the grown-ups sit in the evening and rock and walk and talk. In the corner of the porch is an old hammock. I like to play in it with my cousins. Sometimes we swing back and forth very fast. Other times we sway slowly, listening to the screen doors opening and closing around us as people go in and out to the beach. When we go to the beach, I always make sure to visit my aunt and uncle on an island down the coast. Today, I'm also going there to study a loggerhead sea turtle nest. My aunt told me that about 2 months ago, a 300-pound mother turtle crawled out of the ocean, pulled herself along slowly with her flippers, and dug a hole in the sand to lay her eggs. Then, she buried the eggs before returning to the water. She will never know the baby turtles that have been hatching and climbing out of the nest for the past 2 nights. But today, I hope to see at least one baby turtle. I have seen many animals at the beach, but never a loggerhead sea turtle. As my mother and I ride onto the island, I look for alligators in the marsh. Each summer, I have seen one in the very same spot, near the edge of the water, under an old popcorn tree limb. I see one there today too. Just the tip of its snout and the top of its back and tail are showing. As soon as we get to my aunt's house, I run around to the creek in her backyard. My cousins and I have watched deer eat leaves from the trees along the banks of this creek. A blue heron comes every day to sit on the post in the water. My aunt says the heron came during a hurricane a few years back. Before the storm, she had a dock in the creek behind her house. Now, she has 4 wooden posts and the blue heron. In the late afternoon, my aunt joins us for our walk to the beach and the turtle nest. I wear my pink jelly shoes until we reach the sand so that I will not get splinters from the wooden walkway. As soon as we get to the beach, though, I take them off. I like to feel the warm sand and cool foamy water on my feet. As the sun sets behind us at low tide, a small group gathers around the turtle nest. Betsy, a local college student who helps protect sea turtles, tells us that the nest was moved close to the sand dunes to protect the eggs from high tides. If seawater washes over the eggs too many times, it will destroy them, she says. Most of these eggs have already hatched. The female turtles almost always lay their eggs at night, and their newly hatched babies also choose the cool nighttime to push their way up out of the nest. This evening, Betsy will count the eggshells and remove any hatchlings that might still be in the nest. Don't be too disappointed, though, if I don't find any live turtles, she warns. The wire screen that we use to protect the nest keep predators like foxes and raccoons away, but fire ants crawl right through it. I wait impatiently and hope that Betsy finds a live loggerhead sea turtle. Finally, I see her smile as she reaches into the nest and says, "We have some turtles." She places 3 tiny, dark brown loggerhead hatchlings side by side on the hard, wet sand below the dune. Each turtle is about 2.5 inches long, smaller than my foot. Betsy explains that the temperature determines whether the turtles will be boys or girls. Because this summer has been so hot and dry, she says, I think these babies must be girls. I hope so. I imagine that the 3 hatchlings are my sisters and me, racing to the ocean on the first day of vacation. Crossing the sand is dangerous for the turtles, Betsy tells us. They have flippers made for swimming, not walking on land. Sea turtles cannot pull their heads into their shells to protect themselves, and ghost crabs, seagulls, foxes, raccoons, and dogs like to eat them. Two of the hatchlings move quickly toward the water, but the third one lags behind. I'm glad that we're there to protect her. If we crowd too close to the loggerheads or move in front of them, though, Betsy makes us walk away. Sea turtles move toward the brightest light, moonlight, or today, the sunlight shining on the ocean. Even my shadow, thrown in front of the hatchlings, could confuse them and make them turn in the wrong direction. I wonder if the smallest loggerhead will make it to the water. Twice, Betsy has to pick her up and carry her to the other turtles. I want Betsy to take her all the way to the ocean, but she says that this walk across the beach is very important for the baby sea turtles, especially if they are girls. Scientists believe that years from now, one of these turtles may come back to this very beach and lay her own eggs, Betsy explains. Even if she swims more than 300 miles away, she will return to build her nest where she herself was hatched. How do sea turtles find their way back? I asked. Scientists do not know for sure, Betsy tells us. They think, though, that when a baby turtle first pulls herself across the sand as a hatchling, she somehow imprints its texture and learns its smell and taste. I scoop up a handful of sand and smell it as it falls through my fingers. My parents know the way to the beach, so do my grandparents. Someone in my family has been coming to this part of the coast every summer for 180 years. For us, there are roads, signs, and people along the way to offer directions. For turtles, the sand itself is a trail that I cannot see, smell, or feel. As I watch for seagulls or crabs that might eat these turtles, I notice another obstacle. The smallest hatchling goes headfirst into a footprint in the sand. She flops down one side and gets stuck in the middle. The group gathers around as she slowly struggles up the other side, pulling, climbing, and sometimes slipping backwards. The hatchling reminds me of my baby sister when she was first learning to crawl. The smallest loggerhead reaches the water last, but I am especially proud of her. Like the other turtles, she has completed the first part of her journey. She will return to land only to lay her eggs many years from now. The shallow water lifts the hatchling off the sand, and they begin their life in the sea. The turtles will swim until they are hundreds of miles from shore, Betsy says. There, they will find food and protection for their first few years. I turn away from the ocean and see turtle tracks in the sand. 3 lines that look like tiny tire tracks stretch from just below the dune to the water, broken up only by footprints. I follow the tracks back to the wooden walkway and look over my shoulder to see my own footprints on the beach. I want to go back and fill them in, to pack the sand hard and smooth. But it's time for me to leave and let the water wash away my footprints. My mom, aunt, and I walk down the road beside the marsh at dusk. We follow a familiar path, stopping only to look at the same old alligator under the popcorn tree, and far away, an egret standing still on the reeds. I imagine that the blue heron is sitting on the post in the creek. I think about my family back at our beach house. My sisters and cousins are probably in the hammock, swaying back and forth, listening to the grown-ups talk. I think also about the tiny sea turtles swimming in the ocean. By tomorrow night, they will have found a safe place, nestled among the weeds and currents, where they can float and grow strong. Someday, many years from now, they too will return to this beach, following their own mysterious trail in the sand. That's the end. Thanks for joining us today.